The video game industry, it's booming.
Yeah.
Like, seriously booming. Making more money than Hollywood.
More than Hollywood.
Way more. But, and this is where things get weird, we're also seeing all these layoffs and studios just churning out sequel after sequel.
Yeah, it's like this strange paradox.
Right. So we're diving into all of this crisis in gaming with this article we found.
Oh, interesting. What's it say?
Well, it talks about how much it costs to make a game these days. Like, we're talking 8 years and hundreds of millions of dollars for one game.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We are also going to get into these mega mergers.
Yeah.
You know, like Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard.
Huge deal that was. $68 billion.
Exactly. Is this the end of gaming as we know it? Or is this just like the start of something totally new?
Well, to understand that, we have to look back. This article does a really good job of showing just how far video games have come.
I mean, we've gone from those blocky pixels to these massive, like, unbelievably realistic worlds.
It's kind of like the early days of cinema, you know? All this experimentation, some hits, a lot of misses.
Studios going bankrupt, I bet.
Mm.
So are you saying that even though gaming's making bank right now, like 5 times what Hollywood makes, it's not all sunshine and roses?
Yeah, it's a weird time. You've got these huge companies making these power moves, but then individual developers are facing all this uncertainty, thousands of them getting laid off.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery and then immediately getting fired.
It makes you wonder, right? Who is really benefiting from all this success?
And these mergers, like that Microsoft Activision thing, $68 billion, that's insane.
Right, that's more than some countries' entire economies. It's wild.
What does that even mean for the games themselves?
Well, remember those early days of cinema we were talking about? You had all these big studios popping up and things started to change. Fewer risks, more sequels.
So less creativity, more just chasing those guaranteed hits.
Yeah, pretty much. And these mergers, they're often spun as these amazing opportunities, but a lot of times they lead to people losing jobs.
Because the big companies are all about efficiency and profit.
Exactly. They want to squeeze every penny out of those big franchises. Look at what happened with Activision Blizzard. Almost 2,000 people lost their jobs right after that merger.
It's brutal. And it's not just games, is it? We've
Yeah.
seen this in music, in movies. Are we just going to end up with like 5 mega corporations controlling all of entertainment?
It's a trend worth thinking about, that's for sure. This consolidation of power. I mean, where does that leave creativity? What about the people making the games? It's complicated.
And then there's the cost of making games these days. 8 years, hundreds of millions of dollars. Are you kidding me?
It's crazy, right? I can't even imagine the pressure those studios are under. I mean, if you're spending that much on a game, you're not going to take any chances.
So you stick with the sure things. Call of Duty, Fallout. I get it.
Exactly. Minimize those risks, maximize those profits. Problem is that stifles creativity. And by the time some of these games actually come out, the graphics are almost outdated.
Maybe that'll be the next big thing. Retro graphics. But seriously, it's crazy to think that making a video game is this huge financial gamble.
Yeah, the stakes have never been higher.
And then there's the pandemic. Talk about throwing a wrench in the works. What happened when everyone was suddenly stuck at home?
That's interesting, right?
Yeah, everyone's on their consoles playing games all day and night. Did that help the industry? Or just make things even crazier?
Well, at first it seemed like it was going to be this huge boom.
Yeah, people needed something to do, some way to connect.
Exactly. And game companies, they went on these hiring sprees trying to meet that demand. But then when things started to open back up,
It all crashed down.
pretty much,
Yeah,
big
yeah.
market correction, layoffs left and right.
Wow. So you've got all these corporate buyouts happening, games costing a fortune to make, and then the pandemic throws everything up in the air. Where do we even go from here? Is there any hope for the future?
Well, that's the thing about all these big studios playing it safe. It leaves room for the little guys to shake things up.
The indies?
Yeah, the indies. They can take more risks, try new things. They don't have to please a board of directors who only care about the bottom line.
It's true, some of the most creative games I've played lately have been from these smaller studios, and gamers are hungry for that, right? Something new, something different.
Exactly. Gamers are savvy. They want diversity, they want interesting stories, they want games that reflect the world we live in, not just the same old stuff repackaged.
So are you saying the future of gaming is indie?
It's possible, but the question is, will those big studios adapt? Or are they going to get left behind clinging to those tired formulas?
It's like that saying, right? Adapt or die.
Yeah, something like that.
And then there's this whole other side of gaming that's exploding right now. Live service games.
Oh yeah, the games that never end.
Fortnite, Destiny, It's like they're constantly evolving,
It's a whole different approach. Instead of releasing a game and being done with it, you're building this ongoing relationship with your players.
which makes a ton of money, by the way. Those microtransactions add up.
Yeah. It's definitely been a game changer, no pun intended.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Creating a whole world, and then you can't just leave it alone. You got to keep adding to it, changing it up.
And that puts a ton of pressure on developers.
Right. It's one thing to make a game, but to keep it going like that,
Well, it takes a lot of resources, a lot of manpower. Not every studio can pull that off.
especially not those smaller indie studios we were talking about.
It's a whole different ball game.
So where does this leave us? It seems like the gaming industry is going through some serious growing pains right now.
To say the least. We've got mergers, acquisitions, the cost of development, and now this whole live service model. It's a lot.
It's kind of scary, honestly. What does it all mean for the future of gaming?
That's the big question, isn't it? What kind of games will we be playing 5, 10 years from now?
What will those worlds look like?
Who knows? But one thing's for sure, it's going to be interesting to find out.
That it is. So all you gamers out there listening, we want to hear from you. What's your vision for the future of gaming?
If you could create any game, what would it be?
Don't hold back. Let your imagination run wild and let us know. Hit us up on social media. Tell us your ideas. We might even share some of our favorites on the next deep dive.
Sounds fun. I'm always up for hearing new game ideas.
Me too. But for now, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the wild world of video games.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And until next time, game on.